A 2-week-old baby girl is reported in remarkably stable condition 1 day after receiving the heart of a baboon in an historic transplant operation.
It has never been done before, not successfully, and not on a patient so small.
Doctors praised the so far successful transplanting of a baboon heart into the body of a baby girl who was certain to die.
On October 18, 1984, Teresa Beauclair gave birth to Stephanie Fay. Stephanie Fay was born with a deadly heart defect called hypoplastic left heart syndrome.
Hypoplastic left heart syndrome is a form of congenital heart disease. Congenital means specifically that it's a kind of heart disease that a person's born with. And of all the various forms of congenital heart disease, hypoplastic left heart syndrome is one of the most severe. The heart is two pumps that work together, and each of those pumps is called a ventricle. Now, in hypoplastic left heart syndrome, only has one well-developed muscular pump, and the other one, the left-sided one, structures of that left-sided pump are very, very underdeveloped.
And my options that were given to me were, you can leave her here and let her die, you can take her to Barstow Hospital and let her die, or you can take her home and let her die.
I was able to interview Dr. Leonard Bailey on Skype.
Well, we were just trying to extend the baby's life. At that time, there wasn't much hope for babies with baby Fay's type of heart disease. And so we had been studying the idea of using animal hearts in little babies in the laboratory, and she happened to be the first one.
Dr. Bailey had done lots of research on cross-species heart transplantation and surely could save baby Fay's life.
I wondered if the doctor was a mad scientist.
We'd done a lot of work in the laboratory, and so when we did her, it was just sort of a natural transition.
After some paperwork, Teresa Beauclair agreed to have a baboon heart transplanted into Stephanie Fay.
I was at home, minding my own business on Friday evening, and the phone rang. First response, it was the unit. They were telling me that Dr. Bailey wanted room 6 ready. Well, I was trying to put 2 and 2 together, what they were trying to tell me, and then she said, Dr. Bailey's going to do his transplant. We don't know if it's tonight or what's going on. My first reaction after that was I was scared, like, well, I knew we were going to do it. We've been getting ready for over a year, but are we really ready? Will it work? And calling the staff together and telling them that we were going to do an infant transplant. They'd been preparing for it, they were ready for it. And then telling them that there was going to be a little difference with this surgery because of where the donor heart was being procured. And so I threw out, I said, and they were all like, okay, and I said, we're going to use a primate donor. And one of the nurses looks at me and says, what's a primate? I said, okay. I said, we're going to use a baboon donor. And I can remember, the staff just looking at me and then telling them it's a need to know, strictest of confidence. No information's to go off the unit. It was one of the best kept secrets, a staff of probably 60 or 70 people. Because when you think back at the size of Loma Linda, even at the time, how stuff didn't leak out.
With a green light to go, on October 26th, 12 days after baby Fay was born, she was in the operating room getting a baboon heart transplanted into her body. The heart transplant took many hours. Everybody was hoping that the baboon heart would beat in the baby's chest. The operation was hard, and the baboon heart ended up fitting perfectly in the baby's chest. When the doctors got a look at the baby's heart, they knew that the baby would have died if it didn't get the baboon heart put in it.
The phone rang, and you could hear a pin drop on this unit, which is unusual on an ICU unit, because what we wanted to hear one piece of information. Was that heart, did the heart beat? Was it beating? And that's exactly what the phone call said. It's beating, and you could hear them, somebody's loud voice, it's beating.
And my gosh, when that happened, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. I said that before, I know it's been on the news, but it's absolutely true. I mean, we were all just choked up to hear that heartbeat, beep, 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 when that baboon heart started up. and it looked like a perfectly normal other human heart. It didn't, it doesn't look like a baboon. A heart is a heart.
It was a miracle. The transplant was a success, and there was a baboon heart beating in Stephanie Faye's chest. How did it feel when the baboon heart started beating in Stephanie Faye's chest?
You know, I was very reassured by that. We had predicted from our studies in the laboratory that that would be the case. And when it was the case and it was able to support the baby's life, it was a very reassuring experience. And I've never had a day's regret for doing that.
After the heart transplant, the news broke out quickly. Baby Faye was famous. She was on news stations across the whole world.
A 2-week-old baby girl is reported in remarkably stable condition 1 day after receiving the heart of a baboon in an historic transplant operation.
Never been done before, not successfully, and not on a patient so small.
The doctors who transplanted the heart of a baboon into the body of a 2-week-old girl yesterday said tonight the infant's condition is improving and they're now optimistic about the
Known to the world as Baby Faye.
People around the world wrote letters hoping that the baby would get well soon. The letters from around the world helped relax Stephanie Faye's mom, Teresa Beauclair, giving her hope that Stephanie Faye would live. Baby Faye was doing great throughout week 1 and week 2 after the surgery.
This is News for LA, Mike Sark.
Good evening, everyone. A 14-day-old baby girl is fighting for her life tonight after receiving the heart of an infant baboon.
On November 27th, Stephanie Faye died due to a complicated mistake in her care. Were you connected to Baby Faye when she died? And how did you feel when she died?
Oh, I was brokenhearted, of course. I couldn't understand why she was dying. And so it was really quite an awesome and disappointing experience. It didn't fit anything that we had encountered in the laboratory. And she had a rather unique end, and probably much more complex than you want to know on this interview. But sometime I'll be happy to talk about it with you.
After this crazy learning experience, Teresa Beauclair told Dr. Bailey not to let this information get wasted. And Dr. Bailey made this happen. 1 year later, Dr. Bailey did his first heart transplant on a baby known as Baby Moses. Baby Moses is still alive today at age 29 with the same heart beating in him. Can you imagine? 29 years with the same heart beating in him. He would have died at age 0 without Dr. Bailey's life-saving procedure. And think about it. There's a girl named Stacy who has had 4 different hearts beat in her chest. Before her 3rd heart transplant, she was not able to dance. Now, 3 months later, she is alive and dancing at her sister's wedding.
The fact that I can now start and finish a dance till the end for me is an accomplishment.
Before the heart transplant, when you were sick, were you able to dance?
No. I would dance for maybe 2 minutes, and then I would have to sit down and then get up again.
Did you dance at your sister's wedding yesterday?
Yes, I did, and I finished all the whole dance until the end. The song is done.
If you could tell something to Dr. Bailey, what would it be?
I'm very, very grateful to him because his great effort made it possible not only for me but for other children to get a 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th chance in life like myself.
Dr. Bailey's efforts have also saved thousands of innocent people's lives. On October 18th, 1984, Stephanie Faye was born with a deadly heart defect, and she would die within 2 days to 1 month. Dr. Bailey had done lots of research on cross-species heart transplantation, and surely could save Baby Faye's life. The mother agreed to have a baboon heart transplanted into the baby, and afterward, the baby lived for 3 more weeks. Baby Faye and Dr. Bailey left behind a huge life-saving legacy, and because of Dr. Bailey's courageous work, people knew that heart transplants were possible. So now, when people are born with deadly heart defects, they can actually have a chance to live.